Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So what are we doing today? We're doing hockey romance today. We're going to be talking
Yes.
all about hockey romance. We did a video when we first started, so earlier in the year, that was hockey, and this is going to be our second hockey romance book. So recommendation video. So let's do it.
All right. But first,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment, like our video. But we are still on our road to 1K giveaways. We have lots of fun things planned. So make sure you subscribe to us so you are included in that. And also you can go and follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Lots of fun giveaways.
Yeah, lots of fun things. Okay, so hockey. We were just talking. I used to read a lot of hockey. I guess lately I haven't been. I mean, I love the hockey trope. I like the new ones that are darker. Shocking. I know. But you like hockey. We just haven't read a lot of it lately, right?
I haven't, most of what I've read lately in the hockey world has not been that great. I've liked some of the darker hockey that I've read lately, but I feel like some of the greats, like the Pucked series by Helena Hunting, Odette Stone's The Vancouver Wolves, like some of those, I've already read those, and I just haven't found a hockey series like that again.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna be giving you guys 10 more of our favorite recs. So let's do this.
Yes. Okay, Jessica, you're up.
I'm always up. I'm aware of it.
Go.
Okay, so this one, I love Serena Bowen's Brooklyn Bruiser series. I do. It's one of my first hockey series that I ever read, and I devoured it when I read it. But this is number 3 in that series. This is about the goalie, and his name is Mike. And Mike is a widower. His wife passed away recently, within a handful of months earlier. Maybe it was a year earlier. I can't remember. It's been years since I read this. But his wife passed away. He is a single father to a teenage girl, young teenage. We're talking just getting into her teen years. And he and his wife were separated during the time that, for about a year before she got sick and then eventually passed away. And so during that time, he was dating Lauren, and they were absolutely in love. And then one day he just up and goes back to his wife, and she has no clue what's happening and why. And they break up. Well, now here you are, a couple of years later, he's a widower, and she gets hired on by the team. She has to start traveling with the team for whatever reason. And Mike is there, and his daughter is definitely not for this situation. So she is heartbroken. She doesn't know why he left. She doesn't understand. And so this is their story. I loved it. This is one of my first widower romances too. And I devoured it. I thought it was great. The audio was good. Loved it.
I want to go read that now.
I know, it was good. It really was good. That whole series is great.
Oh, another hockey series I really enjoyed was The Deal. That's the first book in there. I don't remember what the series by Elle Kennedy.
Yeah,
that would be in our first hockey.
Yeah, that was
romance.
That was very popular.
Yes. So what made me think of that is my first book that I'm going to talk about kind of reminds me a little bit of that world.
Okay.
So my first hockey romance book for this video is called First Score by Lisa Lamry. And this takes place in college, and this is about Blaze and Kay. So this is very like not traditional. What am I? Cliche, I guess. So we have the smart girl and the hockey player that needs a tutor, but it's written slightly different. So Blaze is, this hockey god, and he needs to get his GPA up, so he desperately needs a tutor. And Kay is a child genius. She actually started college when she was 15. She's now 18. She's a senior, and she's graduating college. But because of this, she has not had any of the normal college experiences. She's lived by herself. She doesn't have friends. Like, she hasn't gone to parties, none of that. And she's realizing like her life is almost like this part of her life is almost done, and she's going to be going off and, to the next step. And she never had any of these typical normal teenage experiences and college experiences. So she decides that she can help Blaze and Blaze can help her. if you know what I mean. And I just really, really liked it. I liked how Blaze gets a little possessive of her and not wanting certain things to happen. And I just really, really liked their chemistry together. I liked that there was a reason why she was like a little awkward and didn't have these experiences, because sometimes when authors try and set this situation up, they make the like it's like, well, why does nobody even want to be friends with this girl, like, you know what I mean? But this
Mm,
one, they're like, I mean, you can really kind of picture it and feel her pain on how driven she has been and pushed she's been by her mom mainly, and just how she ends up in this situation and wants to like grab control of the situation. So I really enjoyed it a lot.
okay, awesome. Okay, so my next book is, once again, it's another Serena Bowen. This is from a different series, kind of, and we don't see a ton of hockey, but our male main character is a hockey player. He's been injured. It's the off season, but I love this book so much. We're going to talk about this book. Okay. So this is Bountiful. And this is, again, Serena Bowen. So this is a part of her True North series, but it's also part of her Brooklyn Bruiser series. So this is where you get, sorry, there's something on my lip. This is where both those worlds collide. I love both those series, but this is about Dave and Zara. So Dave, there is still something on my lip. It was a fuzzy. Oops. Okay, so Dave is going to Vermont with his hockey buddies, and they're on vacation for the summer, and he ends up in this bar a couple of different times that summer, and that is where he meets Zara. Now, Zara has had her heart broken, and she is not looking for a long-term situation, and so he and her hook up. They don't give last names, they don't give details, but they hook up a few times throughout that summer, and then they're gone. And then 18, well, it's been about 2 years later, he's never been able to forget about her. She's still in that little town. She doesn't work at the bar anymore. She's now opened a bakery with her friend, but he goes back. There was, for some reason, because of things going on with the hockey team, they didn't go in the off season, like for 2 years. And now they're back to doing this buddy thing again, where they go off and have a week or a month or whatever they do together as hockey dudes hanging out at their bachelor pad. And he goes into town and he's been trying to find her and he can't find her. And then he goes to get a coffee and he walks in and there she is. And she freaks out and goes across the street to where her house is. And she eventually comes out and tells him, look, I have to tell you, I've been looking for you. I looked all over for you, but we did not share names. We have an 18-month-old daughter. And so this is their story and how they figure all that out. But I loved it. It wasn't for lack of trying on her part to get a hold of him, but yeah, he's the big hockey star and he doesn't live there. So what do you do? She's got her family. She's established. What do you know? So yeah, love that
Okay.
one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So my next one is called A Favor for a Favor by Helena Hunting. This is the second in her All In series. You do not have to read them in order. It does make it flow a little bit better, but they can totally be read as standalones and you won't be lost. So this is about oh my gosh, Bishop. Sorry. So this is about Bishop, and he lives across the hall from Rook, who we met in the first book. He lives across the hall from Rook, and they don't really get along. And in the middle of the night, Rook has moved out with his girlfriend, and they might even be married at this point in time. They live somewhere else, but he still has this apartment there. And in the middle of the night, Bishop hears like somebody moving in next door, and he's like, "What is going on?" So he goes and checks, and he basically accuses this chick of being Rook's mistress. But it turns out it is not Rook's mistress; it is his little sister. And she is a physical therapist, and Bishop just happens to get hurt pretty bad in his groin. And he like wants to get back out on the ice. Like he's not really bonding well with his team. He's really worried about how this is going to impact him. And so he has even a greater need to get back out there. And so he asks her to help him heal faster, and return for that he will write her a great letter of recommendation, so and help her get her foot in the door with this. And so this is how this starts. But obviously, there's going to be some feelings that start to develop. And again, Bishop and Rook do not get along. So I really enjoyed this one a lot. I liked that there was kind of this forced proximity, but I absolutely loved like when he thinks that she's Rook's mistress. That was so funny.
I saw a TikTok a week or two ago, and it was this woman who is a physical therapist, and she was like, just so you guys know, in your sports romances, that would never happen. A physical therapist would never cross that line. And she was just kind of just going on and on about how that's not logical. It just doesn't happen in the real world. And I thought, I'm sure it does every once in a while, honey. So just okay. I get ethically.
BS.
Yeah, I get ethically they're probably not supposed to, but at the same time, I was like, you realize we're reading fiction. Just leave us to our books. Don't ruin
Here's
it.
the thing. Somebody who does something like that is probably not going to go around and broadcast it either.
No, but I just found it funny that this woman was like, just so you guys know, your books are not legit. And I was like, we didn't say we cared either. So, okay. On to my next. I should have tell you about that. I keep forgetting to tell you about that. So I guess I'm telling everybody about that. Okay. So the next book that I have is Onetimer by Tegan Hunter. This is the third book in her Carolina Comet series. I've only read books 2 and 3, like them both quite a bit. So this is about Hollis, who's our female main character, and Lowell. Lowell's first name is Cameron, but everybody calls him Lowell. So they meet at Hollis's sister's rehearsal for her wedding. Hollis is going through a divorce. Her husband had a mistress the whole time. Apparently, he had the mistress before they got married, and she found out about it. So now she's going through this divorce. Lowell has had some trauma in his past where he had a girl who tried to tell him that she was pregnant to get his money, to get him to marry her when there really wasn't a baby. So he's got his own trauma. And she's sitting in this parking lot. This big green beater of a truck pulls in. The music is blaring. She's, in her own headspace. She needs him to turn it down. It's just ridiculous. And so she goes, oops, I hit the cord. So she goes to knock on his window to get him to turn it down because he has his eyes closed. He's resting back. And as she's knocking on the window, he rolls down the window and she ends up sucker punching him. And that is their meet cute. So this is definitely enemies to lovers type situation. They're both in a bad mood. They don't like each other, but they end up hooking up the next night at the wedding. And then she ends up pregnant. And so this guy is the captain of the hockey team. And so you definitely have that hockey team stuff going on. Baby is due in the middle of their playoffs. And, how do they make that work? So this is them trying to make that work.
Okay.
Okay,
my next hockey romance recommendation is probably one that if you like hockey, you have hopefully read. If you've not read this, you must have been on a rock, and you are welcome for me bringing it to your attention. So this is Mile High by Liz Tomford. It is a contender for my top books of the year, which is really becoming quite a challenge to figure that out.
Every day she messages me and tells me she's not doing it. I'm not coming up with my top list. I'm not
participating.
I'm not participating. And I'm like, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So anyways, this book, oh my gosh, it's so well written. It's such a refreshing take on romance and hockey all together. So this is about Xanders and Stevie. So Xanders is this hockey playing man whore, and he prides himself on this reputation that he has built for himself. Stevie is going to be the airline flight attendant on all of their trips, and they travel as like a team. So she'll always be, when they fly, she'll always be on there. And Xanders and her just kind of have this like real life banter that I really enjoyed reading. Stevie is unimpressed. She could care less that he is a famous hockey player. In fact, that makes him less desirable in her eyes. So she just could care less. And Xander's just he likes to flirt with her. And so he pushes that flight attendant button all the time to get her to do like the most ridiculous things for him. But really, he's just seeking her attention. And so this is kind of a slow burn. They fall for each other pretty slowly. And oh, I just love it. Stevie is described a little bit as like a more plus size or more curvy heroine. And sometimes that drives me insane in books, whether the person is super thin or overweight. If it is overly emphasized, it drives me insane. Give me an idea of what they look like and let's move on. But in this, she struggles with some of her body image issues, and Xander's really like lifts her up in that. And I just loved how it was written in this. It wasn't overdone. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, give me a break. It was written beautifully into the story. And oh, Sanders. But, anyways, wonderful, wonderful book. Highly recommend it. Her writing will suck you in.
Mhm. I was just thinking about the plus size heroine thing. That drives me nuts. I know some people like to read it because they like to be on the same level. You know, if you are plus size and they like to read plus size so that they feel like they can relate to the heroine. As somebody who's battled my weight my whole life, I don't want to read about a plus size heroine. I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
I don't care as long as it's not overdone. But if the person is like thin and we're constantly hearing about their looks, I get tired of that too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can tell me they're plus size, and that's fine, and you can give me a little bit of a description, but I don't need it brought up constantly.
Hmm.
And the other thing that when you tell me she's curvy, my picture of curvy, and typically like the author or somebody else's picture of curvy could be two different things. What I consider curvy, what they consider curvy, and then like if they have like a cartoon cover, or whatever, and I see it, and it's a bigger girl, and I'm like, that's not curvy, but that's my perception of curvy. And so those are really hard. Those are hard for me. I have a hard time as someone who's built like a giant brick house. You know,
All right.
I think maybe
Next.
one time. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the crazy hockey stuff. I love me some crazy stalker hockey. So this is where my brain's at right now. Okay, so the next book I have is The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane. This is a stalker hockey obsessive hero romance, and I am here for it. So this is about Lincoln and Monroe. Monroe is a foster kid. She is now out of the system. She aged out and she's going to college and she's living on her own and she's trying to make a name for herself. Like, she's trying to get by. She's just trying to do better than, her parents did. And then you have Lincoln. He is our hockey. He plays on the NHL, or plays for the NHL. He is being tried. His dad is trying to set him up on a date, and he completely blows it off. He's tired of dating socialites. And so he blows off the date, and then he sends a text when he starts to feel kind of bad about it. And, it was like, well, maybe I'll text her and try this. He kind of gets in trouble from dad, and that's what happens. So he sends a text. Well, the text doesn't go to the date. The text goes to Monroe. And he at first thinks it's the date, and then he quickly realizes that that's not how the way she's responding to these texts are not how a normal socialite would respond. And so he has a conversation with her over text, and he quickly becomes obsessed. And so he has people figure out who she is and where she is. And then he starts behind the scenes stalking her while trying to woo her at the same time. And he goes, he just goes above and beyond. Like getting her fired for from her job because he thinks she needs to be home with him. And she doesn't know this, obviously, because he's doing it behind her back. But, he's like, she just needs more time to study. That's all. I'm just trying to make her life easier. When he's really just being creepy, over the top, possessive. And I was here for it. So love this one. Love this one. Can't wait to see. This is the first one in her series. There's only 2 books out right now. The third one will be coming out in the new year.
Yes.
Okay.
I have it on my calendar.
Yeah, I bet you do. I have it on pre-order.
All right.
Okay.
So my next book is called Hot as Puck.
Okay.
So this is a little more light-hearted hockey romance. This is number 1 in the Bad Mother Pucker series by Lily Valentine. So this is about Justin and Libby, and this is a sex tutor situation. So Libby is your kindergarten teacher, and she has a crush on the vice principal at her school. And she just finds herself like she can talk to people just fine, But whenever she's around a guy she likes, she just gets super socially awkward, says embarrassing things, trips, that sort of stuff. And so she's just a mess around him and she doesn't know what to do. So she goes to Justin, who's been a friend since they were kids, and asks him to please like help her. And he's like, okay. And help her does he. So it's a more lighthearted one, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
That's a quick rec. They're not super long. The books in the series aren't super long, but they're great reads. And they're also on Audible, so they're fun listens too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my last book is once again Crazy Hockey, Over the Top Possessive, because this is where it's at right now, which is why like I really need to finish the Grace McGinty hockey series or the second one. And I can guarantee you that that's going to be amazing. But I'm into crazy hockey right this second. So this is Twisted Obsession by S. Mastery. This is the fourth book in her Hockey Gods series. These are interconnected standalones. You can read them as standalones, but you do see the other characters. There is a little bit of stuff that kind of goes from one book to the next. So it's better if you read them in order, but you don't have to. The audio for all of them is great. Teddy Hamilton is the narrator for the male point of view. So highly recommend that one. Good job, S. Mastery. Good job. Okay, so anyhow, Twisted Obsession. This is the fourth, like I said. So this is about Jacob and Melody. So Jacob has been obsessed with Mel for a couple of years. They were dating, or at least we think they were dating, and she goes missing in the earlier books, and we have no clue what's happened. Well, now here we have Melody, and she has been in an accident, and she has lost her memory. She doesn't know anybody. She doesn't know her name. Like, she doesn't know anything. So she's sent to go live with the only relative they can find, which is a cousin. And in the meantime, you have Crazy here, who is Jacob's. It's still trying to find her. And one night he's playing a game and he looks up and she's sitting there next to a guy. And he's like, what the heck? Where has she been? So he sends his buddy to go get her, to bring her down to where he's like in the locker room area or whatever, so he can have a conversation with her. She doesn't know who the buddy is, and she should, because here's the deal. She was their college professor. This is a reverse age gap where she's a little bit older. She was their professor. He and her were having an affair because she was married. Nobody knows where the husband is, and she doesn't remember a doggone thing. So there you go. Crazy fun. This is the fourth, like I said, but this was my favorite out of all of them. Probably because of the amnesia. Just saying.
I need to read that. I just got the first book in the mail the other day and I need to get started on that.
You do, because you're going to love the fourth one.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them all, but the fourth one has that amnesia, and I know how you like something with some good amnesia. So.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the last one.
Okay. My last one, The Pucking Wrong Guy by C.R. Jane. I love this series. So definitely darker on the hockey. Ari makes Lincoln look a little more normal.
if that's possible.
So this is about Ari and Blake. And Ari is in love with Blake. They meet when they are kids in a group home, and he is just instantly, she is his person. She is adopted into like this high-end social family who really could care less about her. They're all about what they look like to everybody else around them. And so she moves clear across the country to get away from them. She is trained to live her life. She has some trauma. She has some mental health challenges that she's working through. And Ari he just wants her. And so Ari takes some very, very drastic measures to make that happen. But he loves her and he wants to make her life great, much how Lincoln wanted to do for Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
But I love Ari. He is just there to make Blake's life better, whether she realizes it or not. So definitely fantastic. It's hard to talk about because there's a lot of things happening in this book that I don't want to give anything away. So just know that, just know what I told you and go read it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the next book. It sets it up in here. And the relationship between Ari and Lincoln that gets portrayed in this book is a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I still need to read that one. So that's definitely high on my list.
Yes, do it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
That's
guys.
our hockey
So,
Rex.
yeah, that's our hockey Rex. Don't forget to check out our new book journals that we had designed for you guys. We'll link those in the comments below too, but we forgot to mention them at the beginning. So they're still here just in time for the new year. So don't forget to check those out.
Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us, and on Wednesdays through the rest of 2023 for Romance School 101. And in those comments, tell us what good hockey romance books are we missing out on. We need more good hockey romance books. I think that's why I've kind of gotten away from the trope a little bit, with the exception of C.R. Jane, because I haven't been finding the good ones anymore. And so after you read a few and you're like, yeah, maybe it's not my thing anymore, but I think I'm just missing some good ones. So leave us some comments, and leave us some comments, hit that subscribe button.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.